Thank you so much for clicking on this video. I am so excited to tell you about my self-guided EPPP coaching program called the Master Plan. But first, I want to tell you why I created it. You see, a long time ago, I watched a documentary about a medical practice who for years treated their diabetic patients traditionally. They would prescribe medication and give them pamphlets about healthy foods that can reduce blood sugar. However, over the years, they noticed very few patients actually changed their diet, let alone reduce their dependence on medication. One day, one of the physicians decided to start asking his patients what was getting in the way with them changing their diet. He quickly realized that although most of them had the desire to change their health, they really didn't know where to start, and they faced a lot of obstacles. After learning this, the medical team decided to band together, and they created a hands-on nutritional coaching program. They brought in a nutritional specialist who actually taught their patients how to change their diet step by step. They learned how to grocery shop, meal plan, manage social pressure to keep eating unhealthy foods, as well as basic cooking skills. But the help didn't stop there. The nutritional coach would also meet with them regularly to support them to implement what they were learning in the coaching program. Very quickly, they began to see patients improving their health and feeling better. Much like trying to improve one's health, studying for the EPPP can feel just as daunting. And like those patients, many EPPP candidates find themselves getting random tips from here, there, and everywhere. They hear things like, make sure you take a lot of practice tests, or you have to know all of the major topics. But when do you take practice tests? And how much time do you spend on each topic? What about all of the other major factors that impact studying, such as getting your support system on board or managing test anxiety? Although the advice is well intentioned, without a clear system to address these issues, test takers often find themselves feeling overwhelmed and clueless on where to start. But don't worry, help is on the way. The master plan is your blueprint to EPPP success. Now, before I go into details, check out what some of my coaching clients have to say about it.
So I would say the number one thing was this kind of thread of validation all throughout the different modules. There was this sense of this is extremely stressful because going into it, you're feeling very stressed out, but it's a little bit isolating because no one else is really going through it with you. If you have a family or if you have close friends that aren't in the field, you feel kind of isolated and you're trying to figure out what does studying for this exam look like in my normal life. And so I felt like overall throughout all of the different parts of the audio, it was like this constant reminder that like it's okay to feel stressed about this. It's okay to feel overwhelmed. How do you manage that and like channel that to succeed? How do you channel that to when it comes to your study plan? I think that would be the second thing that I really appreciated was the study plan of having like very specific steps and thinking about the big six and then the smaller domains. How do you interweave all of them and hold all of them together at the same time, which can be very overwhelming. But I think with Dr. Erica's support with the audio and also her coaching, you're able to kind of get a sense and a rhythm of how to do it well. And then I would say maybe a third thing about the audios was the common mistakes that people make. And I fit some of those immediately after I listened to it. I was like, yep, that was me during my first exam. So, thinking of this as like a sprint, that's a common pitfall, right? Or focusing heavily on one domain and completely ignoring the rest of them. And then getting a couple days before the exam and having to rush, right? That is a common pitfall that people might experience. So those are the things that were helpful for me.
So what I found the most helpful about the audio program is the things that I hadn't thought about which was about how do I get my support network and people informed around how to better support me through this process. I think I spent so much time preparing myself for it because it's this big momentous occasion, and it's this mountain I wanted to climb, that I hadn't thought about how I could better help others in my life help me through it as well. And so I think that was something I didn't really think about or anticipate before really listening to them. And so I think those were some of the major things that were incredibly helpful and beneficial to me while going through that process of studying for the EPPP.
Now that you've gotten the opportunity to hear what people have to say about the master plan, I would like to share with you a little bit more about why it's so effective. First of all, the master plan features over 4 hours of EPPP coaching. The first few recordings of the program really focus on helping you to get ready for studying. This includes determining if this is even the right time for you to study, getting yourself into the right mindset, learning what common mistakes to avoid, exploring some of the key underlying issues that keep people from passing this test, and how to get your support system involved. The second part is where you actually learn how to study for the test step by step. Yes, you actually get a clear and effective study plan. You learn strategies on how to actually encode the material and use practice tests effectively. The last part of the coaching focuses on helping you to finish your study journey strong and get ready for test day. But it doesn't stop there. There are some bonus recordings which provide even more support, along with a free workbook that's included in the program. In the workbook, there are helpful handouts and reflection exercises for each recording, so you really get the most out of each coaching session. The master plan can be used on its own, or if you like additional support and accountability, you can sign up for personal coaching. I encourage you to get the master plan today. Start on your journey to crush the EPPP so you can have the life and career that you want.